mute mine.
Yeah, I made sure mine was muted. Thanks for the reminder, though.
No, you're welcome. That's one of my most wonderful mistakes.
All right, so welcome to our Monday Lock and Load show. And there's my Glock 17. Didn't buy a car like Dano. But anyway, so we wanted to talk a little bit about the drone police. And especially some possibilities of armed drone police and anti-drone guns. And so I'm going to do a screen share of the of some of these stories off of Zero Hedge. Let's see. I only have to click 1,000 buttons and then okay, screen share. Start screen share. All right, so Connecticut could become the first U.S. state to allow police to use drones equipped with deadly weapons. If a bill opposed by civil libertarians becomes law, the bill, which was approved overwhelmingly by the state legislature Judiciary Committee on Wednesday, could ban so-called weaponized drones in the state, but exempts the police and other agencies involved in law enforcement. The AP reported that in the story. So, I mean, okay, the first problem is that the police get, weaponized drones, but civilians can't. I mean, civilians can't even buy a regular drone without registering with the federal government, I think, nowadays. Anyway, the legislation was introduced as a complete ban on weaponized drones, but just before the committee vote, it was amended to exclude police from the restriction. So if I talk about a police state, weaponized drones flying around, right? Governor Daniel Malloy, a Democrat, was reviewing the proposal. However, in previous years, he has not supported the concept. Obviously, this is for very limited circumstances, said Republican State Senator John Kissel of Enfield, co-chairman of the Judiciary Committee that approved the measure Wednesday and sent it to the House of Representatives. We can certainly envision some incident on some campus or someplace. They have to bring in schools, of course, where someone is a rogue shooter or someone was kidnapped and you try to blow out a tire. Okay, so somebody is driving in a car and you want to try and send a drone after them to shoot their tires out, as opposed to just setting up a spike strip. I mean,
that's what I was kind of thinking. Okay, there's stop sticks, there's guys with handguns. I'm not quite sure why they need a drone that could malfunction, spraying bullets into the air.
Yeah, how often do the police actually shoot out tires? I've only heard of that in the movies.
I mean, a drone in a high-speed chase with a drone the drone would have to get on the same, about the same level as the tire, one would think, in which case the guy in the car could just run the drone over. I mean,
Well, how accurate is the fire control system on this drone? I mean, you want to accurately target a tire on a fleeing vehicle. You're in motion. The vehicle's in motion. I mean, that's
it would require us to have a very high-speed computer, or at least a high-speed link to that could be connected to a serious computer to deal with the targeting, I would think. Anyway, the bill now goes to the House of Representatives for consideration. Details on how law enforcement could use drones with weapons would be spelled out in new rules to be developed by the State Police Officer Standards and Training Council. Officers would have to receive training before being allowed to use the drones with weapons. And of course, the whole thing about, computer singularity comes into play if they decide to put artificial intelligence on these drones and take the humans out of the equation completely. I mean, because drones are cheaper than people. I mean,
And who's to say that these drones cannot be hacked? I mean, if somebody is able to control it, radio control, surely there's a way that it could be hacked.
I would think somebody could come up with a cell phone app that would jam the radio control to the drone and make it out of control.
Well, there's actually guns that do that. They're anti-drone guns.
Oh, yeah, my anti-drone gun is a 12-gauge that's set up for taking out turkeys and ducks.
Well, no, I mean an anti-drone gun that works at a mile away. that can jam it. I'll show you that. That's the next web page. Let me finish this one. North Dakota is the only state that allows police to use weaponized drones, but limits the use to less lethal weapons, including stun guns, rubber bullets, and tear gas.
For now, but that's their step in the door.
Currently, 5 states, Nevada, North Carolina, Oregon, Vermont, and Wisconsin, prohibit anyone from using a weaponized drone, while Maine and Virginia ban police from using armed drones, according to the National Conference of State Legislatures. Several other states have restricted drone use in general. So far, 36 states have enacted laws restricting drones, and additional 4 states have adopted drone limits. So people are starting to stockpile drones.
Here's the thing: if a large enough municipality had helicopters in its police department, let's say, they don't arm them. Okay, they're not gunships. If they could arm their drones, what would be stopping them from arming their helicopters?
I don't know.
Same difference, right? I could see where the drone could be useful in a situation where somebody's held up in a building, or if they're trying to cover a lot of distance because the guy's jumping fence over fence and he's in a neighborhood and they want to fly over the neighborhood and look into people's backyards to see the guy hiding there. Okay, which is something they can already do with a helicopter if they have So if the municipality couldn't afford a helicopter, or a helicopter would just take too long to get on scene, and they could pull the drone out of the back of a cruiser trunk and get it set up and find somebody, I don't really have too much of an issue. But if they wanted to start using it to spy on us, that would be too creepy.
It's like they could cross. You know how the government cross-references their databases? They could just, have a drone spying on every person in the next database,
But everything that you introduce into the air is something else that can fall out of the sky on fire onto you. So if they have these drones and something goes wrong and the drone crashes into, say they're looking for somebody who's running from the police, and the thing goes out of control and crashes into some kid's birthday party in their backyard and injures somebody or kills them or something because it fell on them, okay, are they prepared for those ramifications?
Plus the ramifications. There's going to be lots of police, at permanently parked at donut shops, drinking coffee and eating donuts with a computer and a joystick, flying drones around. I mean, they're never going to get up. They're going to be, the drone police.
If they think it's going to save them the expense of hiring more officers, okay, maybe in the bean counter world it will, but
and if it makes sense to accountants, you can pretty sure the people will suffer. Anyway, I'm going to finish reading this. Go ahead.
Using the camera system, okay, but putting a gun on it, maybe not so much.
I agree.
Well, departing from the story part of it, other thing I was interested in was another story I saw in kind of a sales pitch, but it was a thermal. I mean, because the government agencies, all of them, including the military, but they all use thermal imaging, FLIR systems, to guard their buildings, to go hunting and monitor and spy on everybody. So if you have drones with thermal imaging, there's ways to defend, to become invisible to them. But there's a company that's actually making thermal cloaks, and it's basically, it's basically like 2 layers of metallic insulation with some batting in between, and both of the reflective layers are facing out. And they have a YouTube video of them showing it on a FLIR system, and it definitely makes you pretty much invisible. If you're not looking through a thermal imaging, if you're not moving, if you practice movement discipline, it won't see you at all. You'll just look like a rock or something, and it won't be able to distinguish, because there'll be no thermal signature. And they've kind of worked it into an outfit. You could kind of build something like that yourself, but they've kind of, it's more like a cloak, and it's interesting. I'll try and dig up the website for it before the end of the show when I get a chance. But I wanted to finish with the main story because I'm just, if they start, working more, thermal, optics, and FLIR systems into these drones, they're going to be able to find anybody anywhere, and there's going to be no place you can, just have any kind of privacy. I mean, we thought we're already having problems with, the internet, and Fourth Amendment issues with Susan Rice being unmasking, all the Trump, transition people, who were basically got caught up in a surveillance, by the NSA, and she illegally unmasked, the names of these people, and that's a whole nother story. But anyway, back to drones. It says, meanwhile, concerns are growing about potential unchecked police brutality and death threatening from the robotic skies. Civil libertarians and civil rights activists are lobbying to restore the bill to its original language before the House votes. Data shows police force is disproportionately used on minority communities. Okay, there's that old story. And we believe that armed drones will be used in urban centers and on minority communities. Okay, so basically they're going to...
Communities? So they're selecting which communities?
Well, yeah, I guess they can select who they want if they're the government, I mean, it's like... that's the whole thing about they were saying about the whole, I don't know, it's like when the people that are being arrested for apparently the black community is targeted for, they have more people that have been arrested for marijuana possession than the white community for some reason that I don't understand. But there's more black people in jail for marijuana charges than white people. So, I suppose that, you have the whole civil rights thing, who's going to get targeted by these drones. All right. So, it's executive director of the ACLU in Connecticut. Quote, we would be setting a dangerous precedent. It's really concerning and outrageous that this is being considered in our state legislature. The lethal force raises this to a level of real heightened concern. Yeah, if they're going to just, start taking out all the bad guys, then if the whole people that get targeted aren't somehow disproportionate one race, or religion or anything, then you count on a lawsuit by the ACLU. But what else is new? That's not the kind of precedent we want to set here, blah, blah, blah. Instead of the prospect that Connecticut would be the first state to allow police to use lethally armed drones. NAACP's all pissed off.
They're always mad. Sorry, they are.
For now, however, the proposal is unlikely to unleash scenes out of some RoboCop spinoff. The bill includes restrictions on drone use and reporting requirements that are supported by the ACLU. It requires police to get a warrant before using a drone, unless there are emergency circumstances where the person who is the subject of the drone gives permission. Who would give permission for that? I mean, it would be like in one of those things where if you want a driver's license, you have to give permission to, be drone or something. Be attacked by a drone. You can only have your in order to get your driver's license, you have to sign this organ donation and drone approval form, or we won't give you a license. It'll be something like that. It's like those things you click on, when you sign up for YouTube or Google or something, that you don't read and you just click on it once and then, you're a drone target for the rest of your life and an organ transplant target too. So it also would require police to report yearly on how often they use drones and why, and create new crimes and penalties for criminal use of drones, including voyeurism. Yep, this is like that. I was listening to Cheap Trick the other day, it's like the drone police are coming to arrest me. All right. Final passage is not assured. The bill overwhelmingly passed in the Judiciary Committee. Several members said they just wanted to see the proposal get to the House floor for debate. They voted for it, but they didn't really want it to pass. So that gives them a chance to vote for it before they voted against it. They said they had concerns about police using deadly force with drones. If Connecticut's Democratic-controlled House passes the bill, it will move to the Senate, which is split evenly between Dems and Republicans. I think that I think the police are taught one thing. You put a weapon in their hand, they shoot center mass, they shoot to kill. If it's going to be used, they're going to kill somebody. Okay. Finally, for those wondering how a drone could possibly shoot, they have a video of a drone shooting. I mean, I think everybody's already seen that. They're already stirred the amount of appropriate views on the internet. But so there's no need to play that. All right, I'm going to get on to the next story about China's drone killing weapons. And the U.S. has stuff like this too that they use on ISIL drones. So ISIS in like Mosul can't see where the U.S. troops are. While the Silent Hunter laser gun is a more offensive weapon, China has stepped up its defense too. Chinese authorities have developed and rolled out anti-drone jamming guns domestically. At the $19,000 gun, drone jamming gun, one of several owned by the Wuhan police, can shut off drones up to a kilometer away. At a March 11th soccer game in Wuhan, China, police faced a new kind of threat: drones trespassing near the stadium. The response was to use this new kind of weapon, an anti-drone gun that jammed control signals, forcing the trespassing drones to land automatically. Given China's role as a global leader in the consumer drone and military unmanned aircraft UAS exports, it only makes sense that China is also developing a range of anti-drone capabilities to stop unauthorized or hostile flying robots from coming over sensitive or vulnerable sites.
So are you implying that China will sell you the drone and then they will sell your adversary the weapon to destroy the drone, therefore making money off both sides?
China is the most capitalist country I've ever seen, and which is amazing considering it's a communist country too. So, run by the Communist Party. Anyway.
So would somebody complain if the police used a Chinese drone instead of an American-made drone?
I don't care where that sucker's made, the anti-drone gun. I would take one if I had the money.
Well, it looks cool. I mean,
yeah.
It's a new gun. You know, why isn't this on gun channels? Why isn't it available on the gun channels shop?
I could just picture Schwarzenegger standing there as the Terminator with that sucker. That thing's huge.
Well, you should be able to shut down a Terminator with one of these, but anyway. The weapon is used as only one example of anti-drone tech. Comparable American jamming rifles, like the Battelle Drone Defender, are already used by coalition forces in Iraq looking to shoot down ISIS quadcopters. For use for surveillance and grenade attacks. So they can drop grenades or just tie one on. Whatever. ISIS is.
Didn't we shoot at a drone, an ISIS drone with a Patriot missile already?
The only drone I really liked was 7 of 9 from Star Trek Voyager.
She was a Borg. That's not a drone.
She was a Borg drone.
Yeah, well, she can assimilate me into her collective any day, but yeah.
Yeah, I know.
In your sci-fi fantasies, fellas.
She's a cybernetic. Yeah, not a drone.
The cyber babe. Whatever she was,
a drone is more like a robot. So it'd be more like the HKs in Terminator, the hunter killers. Are they saying anything about these drones being? All of them fly. None of them.
Wait a minute. Look at this one. This is American. What I'm saying. Meanwhile, some European forces have gone for more novel solution, like training eagles to attack errant small drones. All right.
So you're going to use a drone against a drone.
Well, you're going to use an eagle against a drone. You're going to train eagles. So you have to capture.
Why not hawks? Hawks are great.
Yeah, or a falcon.
Or falcons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that they want their own American eagles. They want to They want to steal American eagles, kidnap them, and force migrate them to Europe.
We're going to take the symbol of democracy and turn it into a weapon. That's the American way.
It's like when you shove it right there, you know.
All right, man. Where's my? I think I've had enough of this story already. It's getting weird. Between the Wuhan police and I don't know, people are gonna start panic buying drones.
Hi, Jesse James, 38 out there on YouTube.
Oh, Jesse James, the one of the few people on the planet with the latest Israeli red dot or his rifle. The Mikey Hartman red dot. Guns that we can believe in. I mean, so Squib went to a Michigan gun show, and he's got some cool pictures. I hear.
Yeah, I've got some pictures. I tried to take pictures from beginning to end of the show since you said you'd never been to a gun show, Hawaii.
They don't have them on the Big Island,
Yeah, there were some people asking me what I was doing taking pictures. So I had to explain to them, I said, I've got a friend who's from Hawaii and he's never been to a gun show. And they said, oh, no, we understand now. So only one vendor said, no, you cannot take pictures of my stuff. Everybody else was open to it. I did get some weird looks. I tried to point the camera more upward to get an overall view. I wasn't trying to get people's faces or anything in any of the shots, but
a lot of gun shows. I was on the Edge's show. He was the one where I was wearing the face mask. He was telling me that most gun shows, a lot of gun shows in Texas don't allow any photography.
Well, it makes vendors nervous. They think that you're some anti-gunner and you're going to try to, claim that they're doing something illegal. And I haven't seen anything illegal at a gun show ever. And I've been going to gun shows since I was 16 years old. And I've never seen, sometimes these guys have displays. It says, not for sale. And it could be a full auto or it could be a replica full auto that is non-firing. And it's just to get people to come over to their table, that sort of thing. But I've never seen anybody sell anything illegal. I've never had anybody approach me about buying a gun without any paperwork. I've never, had
all right,
any
and the disclaimer. Yeah. Let's get on to the gun show loophole pictures.
Okay. So, here we go. Let me see if it will screen share. And here we go. Okay, can you see it?
Yeah.
I did for a minute.
Okay.
Then it disappeared really quick.
All right. Should be a picture that says Ingham County Fair. Now, Ingham County.
I'm just seeing your avatar. Oh, wait a minute. Now I see it. Let me.
Okay.
Can you click on pull his?
Yeah, I hit present to everyone. So hopefully you're seeing it.
All right. Let me jump over to. Yep, it's there. Okay. I can see it on YouTube. All right. So. Going back to this. All right, so Ingham County is where Lansing, Michigan is, and that's in south central Michigan, and that's the state capital. So this is about 2 towns. The fairgrounds are actually 2 towns south of Lansing, and it's all farm country out there. And it's easy to get to. It's all expressway from my place all the way out there, and this is halfway between where Dusty lives and I live. So it's easy, just follow the signs. And there's more signs, the Gun and Knife Show. This is the same sign they've got out. They move it from every weekend. It's in a different city, and it's the same sign that's out front at whatever place they go to. Drive all the way down for this. This is normally the county fair where they take livestock. So there's all kinds of stuff where they'd have carnivals and things like that, but they also have all these contests, and they judge livestock because there's so much agriculture out this way. This is actually some sort of barn where I think this was one where they would judge pigs. So, but it didn't smell in there. And it says, do not buy or sell firearms in this parking lot, etc. So, and I didn't see anybody trying to do that there. Just go on in. If you bring a firearm, you've got to clear it right here. So this is the clearing bucket. And at this table, they have yellow zip ties, and the guy's going to zip tie open your action. So I saw an old guy with a revolver with the cylinder open, and he had a zip tie on it. So he's got it palmed in his hand, holding it, and he's got the case for it under his arm. They would run it through your magazine well, or ask you to take out the bolt and zip tie to the back of the frame, or however they're going to do it. But they're going to zip tie it to show that it's not loaded. It's kind of like flag safety. So they put a little sticker on your, or they stamp your hand. You pay your admission and you stamp your hand. This place I didn't have to pay to park, but some places you do have to pay to park, and that's on there if you want to come back in later. And
gun show.
Yeah. Let's see if this thing will. There we go. Okay, so there's the entrance right there, and there were two ladies collecting the entrance fees, and there was a guy checking if you had a firearm, because you can bring a firearm in here and sell it owner to owner, or trade it or sell it to a dealer. And some of the dealers did have tables that said wanted, firearms, pay cash for firearms, things like that. And you'll have a lot of guys that'll come in with something slung over their shoulder and walk around, and that's all you have to do to get offers. I went to a gun show last year when I bought a rifle, and I had 4 or 5 people stop me on the way out the door and offer to buy it off of me, and I had just bought it from a dealer. So these sorts of things happen. So it's a great place to, you could put your gun on Craigslist or Arms List or something like that, but it's a great way to just, sell it, and then you could turn right around, take the money, and buy something new. So there's the guy who was checking if you had a firearm, and the two ladies taking the money. And then you can just see there's rows and rows of tables. And typically what you do is you start at one end and you work your way to the other, and you walk up and down every row, and you try to look for little landmarks, or try to remember the names of the vendors if they've got signs. Some of them have big signs above their booth. And you go, ooh, I'm interested in that, but let me walk around and see if somebody else has got the same thing for a little bit less, or I've got one in a better condition, or I like that, but I really am here for this. So if I don't see this, I'm going to come back to that. And that's what you try to do. So you make one pass around the whole show, usually. You don't stop at the first place and see something and buy it unless you've just been wanting this thing forever. And then you go back around. Now, this drives the dealers nuts, because you may walk by the table 2 or 3 times, and they just want to sell you something, and then you get out of their face. But so that's what you do. You take your time and you walk around and look for stuff. And you see there's just stuff all over the place. And it's not just guns. It's mostly guns, but there's also parts, there's ammo, there's reload supplies. There were guys there selling candy. There were guys there selling beef jerky. There were guys there selling
it's a convention, people making money.
It's mostly guns, but yeah, there was some guy, I was buying ammunition, the guy next to him just kept trying to sell me candy. So.
Well, I could understand the stuffed animals. So it's like if you're going to buy yourself a gun, you have to buy your wife and daughter a stuffed animal so they won't.
No. These are no stuffed animals that were shot.
Oh.
What you do is you buy the gun, and then you tell your friends that stuffed animal in your den is what you shot with the rifle, even though you've never pulled the trigger.
Well, I can. That's lame.
Yeah, but guys do it. Guys do it for the macho factor. So,
but even if it was fluffy stuffed, my husband better come to me with ammo rather than a stupid stuffed animal.
The dealers load stuff in trailers and tow them behind trucks and go show to show, and they rent the tables, and all they do is just lay out their stuff on the tables in boxes and bins and whatnot. And then when the show's over, say they have a show Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, what they do is they take blankets and cover up everything, and they lock up the place, and then they're allowed back in. The next day they just roll the blankets out of the way, and that way they don't have to load it up 3 times. They only have to, bring it to and from. It's a pain in the butt for these guys, so they're looking to move their inventory, but some of them will not budge on price. Other ones will, and that's another thing. If you go on a Friday, they're going to have everything. Each day you can't come back, there's less and less stuff. So on Friday and Saturday, they're not really willing to budge on price. But by Sunday, they want to load less in the trailer than they brought. So they may be willing to wheel and deal more on Sunday and really come down on price. The problem is, though, by then, maybe something you're looking for is already gone. So you take a gamble.
Well, they don't leave the stuff out overnight there. Do they probably take it in and out of their trailers every day? of the show, right?
No, no. What I've seen, I mean, there might be some guys that do it or whatnot, but from what I've seen, they leave the stuff there every night. Now, I don't know about necessarily the firearms, but the accessories or any of the other stuff that's in boxes, now they just cover it with blankets. It's all locked up and secured. So
They probably have security there as well.
yeah. Yeah, because these guys have to pay a fee in order to just do business there, and then they rent the tables by the table. So the bigger the area you want to rent, the more you pay, and the building's supposed to provide them Wi-Fi so they can do their transactions and all that other good stuff. So this vendor here, he's got a lot of milsurps. I need to get some more rifles from him. I bought my second and third rifle from this guy like 20 years ago, and he's still going to the gun shows in Michigan. The knives aren't really, yeah, they're really kind of blurry. This is your Karambit, right? That's right here.
Oh, well, that's not mine, but that is a Karambit.
Okay, yeah, there's a lot of knives there, but nobody goes there for knives. We're there for guns. So, unless the only knives you might want to get are the bayonets. I had to say it, man. So now some of the guns.
Well, bayonets aren't knives; they're bayonets. But okay.
Well, they're bayonets. But yeah, so some of the guns will be marked "Do not touch" or "Please ask before handling." Other guys will be like, "Go ahead, pick it up," because they want you to buy it. What I tell the dealers usually is, if I've got enough cash on me to buy it, I'll ask to pick it up. But if I don't, that means I don't have enough money. So,
yeah, I think most dealers, that do it, for a living, and feel like, well, if you, let the customer pick up the gun, they'll want it.
Some guys are total a-holes. Some guys won't let you touch the gun at all. And I'm not talking about a $6,000 collectible gun, which sometimes those will be there. I'm talking about they won't let you handle a $200 rifle. Other guys are like, yeah, go ahead, do whatever, because they want you to be comfortable and they want to make a sale. So it's just each dealer is different. They're not all the same.
When I went over to the gun shop in Hilo to buy my Ruger GP100 revolver, he had he had it tied, tie wrap shut so the action couldn't move, and I told him, okay, I'd like to test the action. Can I dry fire it? And he says, well, are you serious about buying it? I was like stuck between trying to figure out whether I should tell him that I actually drove all the way across the island just to buy this gun, because they sold the only one that they had in Kona last week. So I didn't really want to tell him that, but in order to test fire it, I just told him that, so I didn't even bother to try and haggle down the price, since I already told him I drove all the way across the island just to buy that gun. But then he let me dry fire it, so. Okay.
Well, dealers are dealers. They're not all, they do their thing. I'm looking at these two going, crap, I didn't realize. I just stopped and took a picture of it, and now I'm there thinking, man, I should have checked these out more. Well, there's always next time. Anyhow, lots and lots of handguns. Now in Michigan, what you have to do is you have to fill out a form and turn it into your local police, and then they send it to the state police for a handgun. For a long gun, you don't. You still have to do a 4473, whether you buy either or. Now the way you make it easier on yourself is you get a concealed pistol license in Michigan, and then you don't have to fill out that dang form. So the dealers will sometimes cut you a deal if you have a concealed pistol license, because it means less paperwork for them. But some of them won't budge. They'll just do the extra paperwork. It's a pain in the butt, but whatever. Guy had 2 semi-auto Thompsons. There was a guy that kept trying to get him to come down on the price, and he wouldn't budge. Some M1As. 1887 lever action Winchester shotgun.
Wow.
Holsters, more rifles, lots of parts, lots of AR parts out the wazoo. Sometimes I see a lot of parts and sometimes I don't. I used to go to the shows a long time ago, and you could get parts for milsurps all day long. And I think it is these guys just have lots of leftovers from last year because the panic buying's over. So, what do you need? You need clips for your Enfield. You need, let's see, are these? Can't tell what those are clips for. Here's AR-15. This is speed loader for SKS strips. They've got
a lot of orange safety flags there.
Yeah, there's flag safeties, and yeah, I mean magazines out the wazoo. They had reload supplies. There were 3 guys there with reload supplies, and that's great if you're a reloader because you don't see this much stuff at your big box stores.
So how many pounds of black powder did you get?
Okay, so they didn't have the kind I was looking for.
Ah, fuck.
I met one of my reloading buddies up there. I met two of my buddies that live halfway between my house and where this is, and they both have farms, and they reload. And the one guy that he was telling me to get the 2400 powder for my 44 Magnum, and he said, "Come on, this guy's gonna have it. I buy from him all the time." We went all the way over there, and he goes, "Nope, the only thing I didn't bring today." And we went to the other 2, and they didn't have it. And I'm going, "Damn, man, you told me to get this powder," and then, so I'll have to better luck next time. So bayonets. Lots of Milsurp helmets. I mean, here's a drum for, I believe that's a Lewis gun. There were all kinds of old Milsurp things there.
Oh, Lewis gun. That's full auto. I mean,
well, yeah, but people collect this stuff and they'll never use it. I've got parts for stuff that I'll never use just cause. You could buy 80% if you wanted. I want to get one as a paperweight, but whatever. Let's see here. Yeah, more rifles, lots of rifles. Magazines. This is a place that I bought. I made one of my purchases at, and my buddy bought a Super Red Hawk. This place actually had a store that's in a nearby town. So AR-15 receivers. There's a Super Red Hawk there. They had a bunch of handguns. They had lots and lots of stuff. There's another handgun. They had these at the end of their table. Here's your Draco. I don't know if that's the smaller of the 2 Dracos. There was one rifle right here. I'm not sure what it is, but the guy asked if he could dismantle it so he could show his mom how it worked. Okay, I've never heard anybody say that before at a gun show, but I took a picture of this just because I thought you'd get a kick out of it. So, but this is actually the guy that I ended up. This fellow right here, he's a dealer. Actually, he wasn't. His shop isn't that far from my house, but he was all the way over here, and he's a authorized High Point dealer, so he had a lot of them. But I ended up buying a Tokarev clone off of him. There's a blank spot in the cabinet where it was, so he had some High Point carbines, and a lot of guys came by to look at stuff, but I was the only one buying anything. Oh, that one I need to rotate. He had lots of ammo, but some of his ammo was overpriced. He kept trying to sell me this stuff that was $10 a box more than what I could get it for, and I tried explaining that to him, and he just wouldn't take no for an answer. He was really being real pushy with the ammo, but when he's selling it that expensive, that's another thing too, is if you are looking, if there's an ammo shortage and you go to a gun show, you might find it there, but you're going to pay a premium for it. So it's good for when there's an ammo shortage, but if not, they usually aren't cheaper on ammo.
Yeah, well, there's not too much of a shortage of ammo right now. I mean,
right now there isn't. When there has been.
I've heard stories of people going to gun shows, buying lots of 22 LR and flipping it.
Yes. And I have like I needed to get some 30-30 as a gift for somebody during the ammo shortage, and a guy had some, and I bought 2 boxes. I paid way too much for it, but it was a gift. So I ended up picking up some 8mm Mauser from this guy. So yeah, here's the rest of his layout. So, and then right here is an ammunition company that's nearby. Smeggy 42 mentioned them. He found them online, and they're local Michigan company. They remanufacture ammunition. And when I saw their sign, I said, "Oh well, Smeggy talked about them, so I'll try them out." So they have the guy explained to me the difference between reloaded and remanufactured is reloaded is something I do in my garage. Remanufactured is something that an authorized vendor does, and they actually have to certify it and back it and all this other stuff. And he explained to me that, they only use this type of primer and this type of powder, and they inspect so many rounds on this, and they inspect every round on this, and they actually put lot numbers on the bottom of each one of these containers, and they said if you have a problem, let them know what lot number it is. He said if you save the container and bring it back to the gun show, they'll knock 50 cents off, and I got some 44 Magnum 50 rounds for $29, which wasn't that bad. So, and this used new brass and new bullet, obviously. I bought some 45 ACP that used once fired brass. He had tons and tons of this stuff, and I figured I'd give it a shot. Now I will tell you, I tried some of the 44. I stopped at my buddy's farm after the gun show, and we loaded 6 rounds in a Super Red Hawk, and he fired 3 and I fired 3, and it worked perfect. So I'll try it in my Henry and see how well it works, and I'll try the 45 in my 1911 and see how it works. They also had Black Rifle coffee, and I've been wanting to get this stuff. Every time I go on the website for it, they're out of stock. So they had some, so I picked up a bag. It was like one-stop shopping. That's one of the nice things about a gun show.
That's the company. I think isn't that the company that had that friends don't let friends drink Starbucks coffee thing after the former CEO said he was gonna hire every illegal alien he could or something like that, just to stick in Trump's eye, and then they fired the CEO because of Starbucks after that. But this company came along. But hey, sounds like something G-Webs would like.
I don't know. I found this coffee by mistake a while back, and every time I check their website, they're out of stock. And these guys had it, and I said, throw a bag on there, And then the guy says, you can have that delivered to your house every month. I said, let me try it first. What if it sucks? So I'll grind it up in a week or so when I run out of my regular coffee. And
while you're on coffee and condiments, I'll bring up somebody in Michigan, another YouTuber. I had this recommendation for hot sauce from a Michigan company. Let me find the flipping website. Damn, I got so many pages open. Yeah. Can't even get to the right program. It's in Firefox. Okay. Oh, I got a spinning circle when I switch from Internet Explorer to Firefox. That's what happens when when Firefox stopped supporting plugins and can't do the Google plugin show anymore. Great. You got a spinning circle, that's it. Well, I'll tell you after the show if I can't punch it up.
Okay, so while you're looking for that, I had a friend send me some chaga mushrooms. Have y'all ever tried that chaga tea?
No.
How can anybody like it? I mean, if you had tried it, it tastes like you're drinking sawdust.
It's tea made from mushrooms.
Chaga mushrooms that are ground, yeah.
Does it have any psychoactive chemicals in it or something?
It doesn't for me. It's supposed to have all these healing properties or whatever. Yeah, it didn't have any psychoactive properties for me. Can't speak for anybody else. Just a second. I got the hubby calling me.
All right. I don't know. Maybe Gun Channels is slowing down Firefox, or maybe it's something else. I don't know. Sometimes Gun Channels does that. Yeah, Firefox has spinning circles. It's either Zero Hedge or it's sometimes Zero Hedge does that, but sometimes Gun Channels does that. So in between those two things, I'm not sure who to blame.
It's all computer stuff.
Well, anyway, those anti-drone guns are pretty interesting, though, I thought.
Okay, is it still screen sharing?
No, if you talk, your picture will come up, but I turned off the present. It's not presenting anymore, but it's.
Okay.
Don't ask me to find my way back to Internet Explorer.
Okay. Well, if it is showing this, so this is one of the reloaders that I went to. This is a guy that had the most stuff, and he had 2 signs up, and you can see lots of powder, lots and lots of powder. Reloaders love seeing this. He had everything but the one powder I was there for, but I ended up buying bullets from him, so that was kind of nice. He had a good supply of bullets there, and I've got plenty of brass, so that's what I need is primer, powder, and bullets. I didn't buy any primers from him because last gun show I was at, I bought a butt ton of primers, so I'm good there. And then, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So I was just going to ask you, so what you bought was a Tokarev handgun?
Yes, I bought a Yugoslavian one, so I've got a picture of that at the end. There's a company there selling steel targets. When I met Smeggy back in February at the show, these guys were there, and they make these targets here in Michigan, and I almost bought one from him, and I need to get one of these things. It's one of the steel tree targets, and they've got quick release pins, so you can change them out if you need to, and it's easy to dismantle into just a few pieces. So you could load it in the trunk of a car if you had to, but I just put it in my truck and take it somewhere and set it up. But they've got the one for full size, so your 45 ACP or something like that, and then they got a smaller one for 22 long rifle. And then on the way out, there's just a sign there saying where the next show is. And I got flyers for all the next, upcoming months. I grabbed 2 flyers on the way out, and this is my haul. So I got the coffee, I got a handgun, I got a lower receiver, I got some ammo, I got bullets, I got a bullet box, and some more ammo there. And I used 2 credit cards and cash and spent a lot of money. Oh yeah. So I got a Ruger lower receiver. I wanted a Ruger. There's nothing special about it. It's mil spec, just like my Armalite and my Anderson. And but I wanted to get a Ruger one, and I had actually emailed them last year sometime, and I said, "Have you guys ever considered just selling the receiver?" And they're like, "No, we're just going to do full rifles." Well, now they sell receivers, so I decided to jump on board with that. And then the Tokarev is a Yugo M57. It's slightly different than your normal TT 33 or TT 33 clone in the fact that it holds 9 rounds in the magazine instead of 8. Your standard 7.62x25 TT 33 or variant holds 8. This holds 9, so the magazines are not interchangeable. Otherwise, it uses the same ammunition. It has the same safety put on it that the government requires in order to import it. Barrel's the same, weight's about the same, all that, it's pretty much the same. I've got a Polish one, a Romanian one. I've got a brand new manufacturer, 9mm, and then now I've got this Yugo. So it's a Cold War relic, and the ammo's a little bit expensive. That's why I reload it, but and sometimes it's a little bit hard to find, but they are fun to shoot. My 10-year-old son loves shooting it, and the trigger's a little clunky and all this. They're real basic at the blade sight and whatnot, but I think they're great pistols. So, and then this is what I did today. After work, I stopped by the local police department and I dropped my form. So when you buy a handgun in Michigan, like I said, if you don't have a concealed pistol license, they make you do this form. The dealer keeps one, you keep one, and you take the other one to your local police department or mail it in, and they send it to the Michigan State Police. So this is me. They have at my local police department, they actually have a drop box in the lobby. You can go in and take it to the clerk and she'll file it, but they'll just collect it the next day from the drop box. My buddy lives out in the sticks. He's got to mail his in. So each place is different. Some places do not have a drop box, but as long as I can't remember, you got like a week or 10 days or something like that to turn it in, and then they forward it on to the state police. And it's because they require you to register handguns in Michigan. So, and that's that.
Well, thanks for taking us to the gun show with you. That was a real fun. That's a lot of pictures. That was a great job you did. Fucking awesome.
I tried to do it beginning to end. You know, I really wish you could you had gun shows in Hawaii. I mean, maybe part of the problem is
there's one in Honolulu every year, but that's on a different island, you know, so that's part of the problem. I can't just drive over there, you know, I have to get on a plane, go through all that security, and then, you know, I can't really take it back home. I mean, if it's a rifle, I could take it with me if I had the proper flight case, which are hard to find in Hawaii, and, you know, a TSA approved case, you know, because they kill the inter-island ferry. You can't just hop on a boat. You have to go to the airport, deal with all that security, and I just don't even like doing that. And not to mention, I mean, you know, there's the plane ticket, you know, to get over there. So, and they don't have gun shows on the Big Island, but, you know, because there's about less than 200,000 people that live here on this island permanently. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But
around
yeah,
here,
that was funny that you used me as an excuse at the gun show. I love that. It's all Hawaii's Volcano Squad's fault, but I'm taking pictures.
As soon as I said Hawaii, they're like, "Oh yeah." One guy thought maybe you lived in California. I said no, Hawaii, and he goes, "Okay, yeah, they're pretty strict over there too," and that sort of thing. And I said they don't have gun shows in Hawaii and that sort of thing. And see, around here, there's lots of hunters and there's lots of shooters. I mean, there's lots of guys in Michigan that vote Democrat because they're in the union. The union tells them to, and they just do what the union says, even though they own an ass ton of guns and they hunt every year. It's kind of weird, but there's gun shows all the time, and I mean they'll hold them at the county fairgrounds, they'll hold them at a convention center, they'll hold them at a National Guard armory, they'll hold them where else? I think I might have seen one at a church once. They'll hold them at sportsmen's clubs. I've gone to like gun clubs, and they'll just open up their.
This state is so left wing that they were out there. I could pull up a picture of it, but they were out there at the local military target range protesting the Marines taking target practice. I mean,
there was one dealer.
I mean, you have to hate America to protest the Marines, you know, taking target practice. I mean, you know, you want them to not practice with their rifles, you know, or something. It's just, they protest anything around here.
Yeah, there was one guy who said, well, it's probably because there ain't no Republicans in Hawaii. And I said, no, there's Republicans there, but they're not really pro-gun. So
there's a lot of fake Republicans. There's a few real ones, but there's more they aren't in charge. All we have is Democrats and fake Republicans, and there's a few real ones, but you know.
Now, I don't want you to think that I go to the gun show every month. Some years I don't go at all, and some years I'll catch 4 or 5. I mean, it just depends. How much money do I have? How much time do I have? Do I feel like driving? That sort of thing. Is there something there that I think I might find? I mean, some like for me, this trip was one-stop shopping. It was nice. I've gone to gun shows with a wallet full of money, and ain't nobody had anything that was worth buying, and it was a total waste of time. So if you're going to pay $5 a park and $5 to get in, you know, and you're going to drive 90 minutes one way and burn a quarter tank of diesel, you know, you might as well pick up something. What I did was I decided, since the guy didn't have the powder, I was going to walk around until I found a Milsurp handgun that I wanted. I either wanted a Makarov or some CZ or a Yugoslavian TT clone. One dealer had the Yugo clone, the M57. They didn't have any of the other Milsurp handguns. So I just lucked out, and the guy come down $30 on it. So what I paid for that gun was about what they're going for online, but I didn't have to pay $20 to ship it and another $25 transfer fee to have my FFL, you know, do the paperwork. So really, I got a deal. It was worth the trip for sure.
All right. Hey, Oily, do you ever go to gun shows in Oklahoma there?
I've only been to a couple, and I hadn't really bought anything besides ammo there. But yeah, I go, and it's pretty much the same here, other than we don't have the box where you check your gun. There's just sheriffs there sitting there checking your gun, making sure it's unloaded and everything, and then they put a zip lock on your gun, or they'll keep your magazine and you can get it back after when you're leaving or whatever. But yeah, it looks pretty much the same. The procedure is almost exactly the same. Same kind of suggestions, but I haven't been to nearly as many as squid, sounds like.
Well, he's probably been to more than I have. My dad has been to a couple in California, but a couple of gun shows there. But it wasn't with me, so I don't live in the same state as my folks anymore. So I escaped California out of the frying pan into the jungle or something. You know?
Oh man, I just can't imagine. I'm born and raised here in Oklahoma, and my husband and I did move both to Nebraska and Kansas for short. Kansas was probably about 4 years of our marriage, and Nebraska was about 6 months. And I guess the area we were in, their faces were like frozen, like in this scoff. You know, it's just like, you know, like you. Heaven forbid you smile at somebody, they look at you like you're nuts. Here in Oklahoma, we come from everybody waves at everybody, whether you know them or not, as you're driving down the road. And up there, they just look at you like you're out of your mind.
Yeah, in Hawaii, the first thing I noticed when I was in Hawaii was just driving. If you got to a four-way stop, you know, people would be like, "You go first." "No, you go first." "No, you go first." No, which is like the exact opposite from California. It's whoever is the quickest on the gas pedal goes first. You know, nobody has permission. It's just like a competition. You know, the last person to hit the gas pedal loses. You know, and you're very lucky if they don't all crash into each other.
Well, I'm sure there are some friendly areas in Nebraska. I don't know. I didn't travel the whole state, just the northwestern part of the state where we lived, and we were just almost to South Dakota. We were about 30, 40 miles from South Dakota, but oh man, it was like their faces were just froze. And
why are they all angry all the time?
I guess because they're stuck in that cold climate. I don't know. and they look at us like we're freaks whenever we would speak. I guess they had never heard a Southern accent before, and they were just looking at us like we had an alien growing out of our head or something. I don't know. Kind of unfriendly.
Speaking of Southern freaks, I bought, when I was at Walmart today, I bought like some red Solo cups. So I know that's like a Southern thing. Have a drink with a red. Yeah. Have a drink with a red Solo cup, you know, in it wherever you go.
Well, I drink out of red Solo cups, but I don't drink alcohol out of them. I mean, if I drink any alcohol, it's gonna have to be something besides beer. I'm just not a beer fan.
Okay, well, our beer specialist is on assignment this week, so hopefully we'll hear from him next week. All right. And what else is there in the gun and prepping community? Oh, Friday we've got a Supreme Court guy and a confirmation. You know, whether it goes to filibuster or not. Hopefully, we'll have a conservative majority on the court as of Friday. What were you gonna say, Squib?
Did you read the comment by Rupan Walsh over on the Gun Channel side?
No, my gun Firefox completely crashed on me. What did he say?
Oh, okay. So he says, HBS, I miss driving on Oahu. Massholes are real assholes when it comes to driving. So I guess he took, I'm guessing he took Massachusetts, an asshole, and put it together.
Well, he's right. On Oahu, the streets are god awful. I mean, it's like, you know, it's like worse than a third world country. I mean, when I was in Oahu, I had to take like medical buses around from where I was staying to the hospital. They would have a free ride on a medical bus. You know, you just write down what hospital you're going to, and they come and pick you up. You just get on the bus, and they take you there for free. And you know, you can call them when you need to be picked up, and they come and take you back. But the potholes, and actually, if you have to take the free city ones instead of a private one bus, I mean, the city buses have no shock absorbers, and it's like really Honolulu streets. It's like a third world country. I mean, you know, that's all I can describe it. The government is so bad that, you know, and when they do road maintenance, they only do it during the day to save money because the state is broke. so they can't afford to like work on the streets at night. They work on the streets during rush hour when there's the most cars, you know, and it's just the biggest pain in the ass. And considering all the traffic jams from when they were doing street maintenance, it's just amazing that there's so many, you know, places where they just, you know, run one of those things to make the street as rough as possible before they pave it over, but they never pave it over, you know, and so there's all these just streets that have been scraped down to like, you know, with one of those things.
Have those bridges? Do you have the streets that did they have the streets that had the ridges in it? You know how they
yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Kind of a thing, the ridges through. Oh man, that is the worst.
Yeah, and it was like, you know, there were you know, all these medical patients on a you know, returning from whatever things they had to go for, you know, like, you know, kidney dialysis or whatever. They'd get on this bus and they'd, you know, be shaking around, you know, like, you know, going back to, you know, from the hospital to their home, and it was like, you know, they were all like bouncing up and down, like, you know.
Oh, bless their hearts.
I know, it was like, it's like, you know, it's just the worst possible, and the government can't. The government is dead broke. They've you know, the government of Hawaii has got all the pensions are like unfunded. You know, it's if Honolulu becomes a sanctuary city, which I'm sure will voted for, you know, and the feds cut off money, that the whole state will go bankrupt like the next day, you know. I mean, it's just, you know, not that our state government is, you know, I think we could do fine without the government. It's just so screwed up right now. But anyway, I don't want to bitch about the government. The people voted for it, and they got who they voted for. So,
well, I want to gripe about the government. Is that okay? No, I'm just kidding.
Go ahead.
I want to know why I live in a state that we pay one of the highest income taxes in the whole United States, and yet our state is broke. And it's not like it's
Now,
just such a
hold
liberal.
up. How can your state be broke? I went through Oklahoma City and I think I paid like $1 billion in tolls.
Exactly, and that's one of the things that's been brought up, is that there has never been an audit of those since those tollways have been opened up. There's never been an audit of those tollways, where the money's going.
Well, they need to audit the Fed. They need to audit Fort Knox. They need to audit the COMEX. All right, I'll keep the accountant government OMB busy for a while, but, you know, I don't know who's going to audit them. You will never get a straight answer. We don't even know who owns the Federal Reserve. And we don't know how much gold there is in the COMEX, and we don't know how much gold, if any, there is in Fort Knox. So, for all I know,
there was some in there.
Yeah, well, as far as how the state can be broke, it's just they spend money so fast. It doesn't matter how much they collect. I know Biker Bob is in Oklahoma because I think he posted a picture outside a gun show in Oklahoma on his YouTube channel yesterday.
He's going to the Wanamaker gun show, right? They do that twice a year. The biggest gun show.
Yeah, he had a picture of it. You know, I just asked him where he was, and he said Oklahoma. So, is the Wanamaker gun show in Oklahoma?
Tulsa,
yep. Oklahoma. All right. Well, that gives Oily something to do.
Heck yeah. Well, Tulsa's like on the other side of the state for me, but
you don't have to go. I'm not telling you have to go.
I can just get there in like 4.5, 5 hours. Bad.
Well, that's a long drive. I don't know. If you don't really want to buy a gun, I wouldn't go, because then you'll just be pissed off, tired, and then you'll blame me next week.
It's all his fault.
It's all, every time somebody goes to a gun show, they blame Hawaii or whatever.
Next time I go to a gun show, I'm gonna have video of me blaming you for something in there.
Now, hold up. To be fair,
It's Hawaii's fault.
I said I have a friend from Hawaii. I didn't say Hawaii Volcano Squad because I didn't want security to drag me out of there.
Oh man. Well, shit.
Oh my goodness.
All right, let me see if I can get onto the YouTube side. My Firefox had gun channels on it, and that totally crashed. Oh, I needed to share this with you before we end this chat because I think Noble had said something about it. Who's another YouTuber guy? Oh, wait a minute. I actually got on. Oh, wait a minute. I hit the wrong button. North Carolina Downs Gonzaga. All right. I hit the fucking. Come on, you stupid thing. Close. I hit the Edge button instead of the Explorer button.
Hi, Yoder, Texas. I'm glad it's you and not me having to drive that 4.5 to 5 hours from El Paso to Fort Worth. I'm a homebody. I stay at home most of the time. I hate to have to go get groceries, let alone drive that far.
Okay.
I'd like to drive to El Paso.
I see out there. I must have gun channels up on Internet Explorer now. No, it's on Firefox. It's back up. All right. I see Dano, Rupon, Too Hottie, Yoder. So now I've got to get back to Internet Explorer and do a screen share of this page. Okay, this is a Michigan company. I was really thinking about ordering some of this because I heard such good things. Have you ever heard of these people? They're in restaurants.
Uncle Bob's. No.
Yeah, well, check it out. UB Sauce. I've heard good things. They have it. And they might be in some. If you go to the website, they might be in some local restaurants. And I've heard lots of good things about it. So,
Uncle Bob's. If I type in Uncle Bob sauce, I'm afraid I'm going to get some disgusting site.
UB Sauce, just UB Sauce.
Okay, UB sauce. All right, here.
They sell it in gallon containers too, not just the smaller
Find
ones.
retailers. Okay. Wyoming, Woodhaven, Williamston, White Cloud, West Branch, Warren. Warren might be the nearest place to me. Yeah.
Yeah. So we do everything on this show. So here's where you can get premium hot. So they have it hot, mild, and regular. So however you like your barbecue sauce, try and cover you here on the show. 99,999 hours to El Paso. That sounds like a Western song.
9 hours.
Marty Robbins did a song about El Paso.
99,999 bottles of beer in the wall. All right. So much for that screen share.
For every hour.
All right. Anything else we need to talk about in the gun prepping universe, or any other questions that the panel can answer? I know Oily is also into essential oils for medicinal and prepping purposes. You have any questions, just let us know.
Absolutely.
So we're rounding out to the end of the show.
Can I do a shout out real quick, Hawaii?
Sure, do a shout out.
Okay, there's a fellow I just met today called the Oklahoma Prepper. He's just getting started. If anybody's interested in prepping, maybe you could go give him some subs and check out his videos. He only has like 13 subs right now.
Okay, Oklahoma Prepper.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if it's the Oklahoma Prepper or Oklahoma Prepper.
All right, we'll check it out.
Thank you.
Okay, so yeah, cigarettes are going to be going up. Gas prices could be going up soon too. But I'm not going to get too into the whole U.S. currency collapse, tinfoil hat stuff. I'll just wait for it to happen. But I will just say that gas is like $7 or $8 a gallon over in Europe. Well, the beer prices will go up if the gas prices go up because they have to deliver beer, with gas. So, I know.
That's the commodity that I'm monitoring.
Beer? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay, Clay, booze does last forever, but the hops flavor in like IPA beer will fade after for a few months. So it's important to get your IPA beer fresh, and know the dates.
If you've got the right kind of engine, I suppose you could run an engine off of alcohol. I mean, I don't know how many multi-fuel generators there are out there, but
Well, propane. I know my dad has a propane and diesel generator, but I told him just use the propane unless it's an emergency or something, because the diesel will mess up. It will coat your carburetor with lacquer. I know Northwest Prepper 411 just got a big generator, but it's just gasoline from what's that big store? I forget. He has a video. Go check out his channel. Harbor Freight. That's it. Dano bought some primers. So Dano, aren't you going to come on and defend yourself from your bad decision to buy a car that jams? I yelled at a guy out the window the other day because I thought he had a High Point sticker on his car, but it was somebody else. But he said he had a car, and he bought a car, and his car jammed too. So, yeah. Primers don't store well.
No, I don't. If you store them in a dry environment, you'll be fine.
Yeah, don't store them in beer.
Yeah, or don't store them in some place that's humid or damp. I mean,
all right. So, let's see if I can find my way back out into the YouTube world. See if anybody's commenting at all on the YouTube side. Let's see if I can make it. Yeah, when Firefox went down, it rebooted eventually, but it took some stuff. Did you see Yoder, Patrick, Dallas Fort Worth? Okay, now I know what DFW means. All right. Wait, whose daughter is going on a Caribbean cruise?
Mine.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, lucky turkey.
What islands is she visiting?
I'm not sure what all islands she's visiting. I haven't gotten her full itinerary. I just know she's going with a friend, and they're going in the middle of this month. So, turd. She should give up her ticket and allow me to go. That would be the wonderful daughterly thing to do.
That's taken family values too far. I mean.
Oh, I see.
So hey, Squib, do you still check out the Daily Gun Show today? Did anything interesting happen on the Daily Gun Show?
No, I didn't listen today. I'll download it tomorrow morning and listen to it this week.
Yeah, I like listening to that show. Sometimes I miss it. Life happens. I can't listen to every podcast on gun channels, but I do my best
I like to
support
catch it
it.
live, but sometimes it's dinner time.
Yeah, that way you get the tactical pop quiz. Okay, so tactical pop quiz, strategic pop quiz. What was the name of the only battleship, American battleship, to sink a Japanese battleship in World War II?
American battleship to sink a Japanese battleship.
Yeah, there was only one.
I should know this. Well, I can tell you which ones it wasn't.
No, you get it by elimination. No, that was the name of the only battleship that sunk American battleship that sunk a Japanese battleship in World War II. Let's see if anybody on gun channels can guess it.
We took down so many. You know what? It must have sunk it in port. I don't think it sunk it out on the high seas.
I'm not giving out any hints. I'll give out one hint, which is the number one.
The number one.
Yoder, it's not the battleship Texas. It's not the Missouri.
No, the Texas was in the Atlantic. It didn't come over until the Okinawa campaign.
It wasn't the Missouri or the Texas.
No.
Indianapolis.
Indianapolis wasn't
No,
a battleship.
Indianapolis was it was a heavy cruiser.
Well, I wish Sean Ponder was here so I could say I stumped Sean, but he'd probably figure it out.
I could just start naming them off. The Alabama, the North Carolina. We could just go state to state to state.
The Washington? The USS Washington? No?
You win. You win. It was the Washington. Oily Pepper got it.
I had to use my powerful Googling skills,
Google food.
The Washington a South Dakota class?
Not sure. I know it had 16-inch guns. That's all I know. You could Google USS or look up Wikipedia USS Washington. It sunk the Japanese battleship Kirishima in the slot off of Guadalcanal.
Oh, it did in the
Iron Bottom Sound.
Oh, okay. See, I would have thought maybe it might have shelled it in port, but okay, yeah, no, there's a lot of activity there. That's Truk Islands, right?
Well, no, this was closer to Guadalcanal, Iron Bottom Sound. Truk Islands was like later in the war.
North Carolina class.
It was the USS George Washington. It was attached to the Enterprise, and the Enterprise it detached its battleship to go shoot up the to save Guadalcanal from the Japanese Navy, basically, who were bringing in, had large ships, battleships, and cruisers escorting troops to reinforce the Japanese the people fighting the Marines, Japanese army fighting the Marines on Guadalcanal. They actually landed 4 troop ships anyway at night under cover of darkness anyway, but it wasn't enough. Because in the morning, what happened is they landed 4 troop ships after the USS George Washington came in, blew the shit out of everything, and then left. And then that night, 4 Japanese troop ships landed a bunch of troops. But in the morning, the Cactus Air Force on Guadalcanal and a bunch of Enterprise planes that had landed there got up in the morning and shot up and sunk all the Japanese troop ships as they were still unloading gear in the morning. And it was a slaughter for the Japanese. But that's what war is. It's a fucking slaughter. People who would usually get along with each other great, if they just ran into each other on the beach or at a sporting event, they wind up having to kill each other because it's a war. So I hope we don't have that ever happen again. There's a lot of stuff happening in the world that's been going on that's pretty crazy. There was a bombing at the metro in St. Petersburg, Russia. I think 10 civilians died and 50 were injured, and they're just whatever disagreements you have with Putin. There's no reason to blow up civilians. It doesn't make any sense.
I agree.
I hope Putin and Trump can work out some of the problems we're having, and they can deal with North Korea and without having to drop the bomb, because it's pretty much getting up to that point, the president of China is coming over to, talk to Trump and show the Chinese flag or whatever. They're not going to play golf, I don't think, because the Chinese president is like anti-golf or something. Hopefully they can figure something out. So, because basically the only way the U.S. has of stopping Kim Jong-un is calling up a B-2 bomber and authorizing a nuclear strike. So that won't China won't like that if we have to do that. Because who depends on which way the wind is blowing. It'll it can wipe out South Korea too. I mean, the radiation goes that way. Or if the radiation goes towards China, you can bet your bippy they aren't going to like that. And either way, there's going to be a lot of refugees if they do that. So they need to just probably overthrow the government and put in some Chinese-backed military junta or something that China's happy with. Because I know that China is not going to be happy with the U.S. if Korea becomes a completely U.S.-controlled, state right on their border. But okay, so we had it's more of a strategic question, I guess tactical, whatever. George Washington. I don't think I have any more questions on that. See, I don't see too much on YouTube.
Not the George Washington, just Washington. They named battleships after the states. They named carriers after presidents.
I thought it was the USS George Washington was the name of the ship.
The George Washington would be an aircraft carrier. The battleships are named after states.
Well, maybe they made an exception. Maybe they made an exception for George Washington.
No. The only battleship I know that was not named after a state was the Kearsarge. And then later it became a crane ship. And then later they started naming the Ohio-class ballistic submarines after states.
Well, maybe it was the Washington and they just started calling it George. They gave it a first name. I don't know.
Well, I mean, they named a state after him, so why not, right?
They named a state and a district. All right. Anything else? I'm going to try and see if anything is happening on the gun channel side.
Patrick's saying USS Texas is the only ship from World War I around. Okay. Yeah, I've been on the Texas. It's definitely something to see.
Where is that located at, by the way?
San Jacinto. It's over by Galveston, Houston, that area, Baytown, right in there.
Okay, I was on it whenever I was a kid, but my gosh, it was like when I was in the 4th grade, and that's years ago. So.
Yeah, I was there 25 years ago, so it's been a while.
Yeah, my dad's been at the Iowa in Long Beach Harbor. I got a bunch of pictures.
It is really odd walking on that suspended metal there. I mean, free feeling. You feel like it's just going to fall through that expanded metal.
Wait, so Colt Firearms is getting a $13 million bailout from Connecticut?
What are they gonna? Why would they bail them out? I mean, what are they gonna? Just give them money, or are they gonna buy something from them? Are they gonna buy drones?
Yeah, maybe Colt will be manufacturing drones. Yeah, it's like made in the USA drones.
Maybe the bailout's going to be where they basically just take over Colt and do whatever they want with their guns instead of allowing human people to buy it other than the military. Citizens won't be able to buy it anymore. Who knows?
All right. Well, I'm sure that'll be in the Daily Gun Show tomorrow if that's happening. So I have so many flipping pages open up on drones and shit. I mean. And Firefox already crashed once. Oh, I got something to say about Scotland and the EU. I mean, shit, and the UK leaving the EU. I mean, it's because, like, first of all, that I mentioned this like on a show when it originally happened that this whole vote, the Brexit vote happened, and they've got that whole thing with. Gibraltar, the Rock of Gibraltar, Spain wants Gibraltar back, so they aren't gonna. It's like the EU wants to give the UK a bill for like $68 billion. I guess they need, or euros. I mean, which they're saying they aren't going to do that, and Spain wants a veto on the whole process, and so hopefully Spain and England aren't going to go to war no, over the Rock of Gibraltar. But the thing is that if Scotland leaves the EU, the Union Jack, they would lose the Union Jack that you used to sing. Part of that is like that the Union Jack is like a combination of the flags of like England, Ireland, Wales, and Scotland all mushed together into one big, coordinated scheme. So if Scotland, is like the blue and the white cross is the Scottish flag. So if they take that out of the Union Jack, it'll look completely different. There won't be any blue in the Union Jack anymore, and there'll be one less white cross. So it'll just be all fucked up. They'll have to change. Britain would have to change their flag. But the most crazy thing about Scotland, and here's the last question. Does anybody know what you can use Google to figure this out. Does anybody know what the national animal is for Scotland?
It's not the lion?
Nope.
Who's going to have faster moving fingers? Let's see. Unicorn?
Yep.
Really?
Are you using your Google Foo?
Google Foo, yeah.
The national animal for Scotland is the unicorn.
Interesting. Did not know that.
What kind of a country
I think you made that up.
No, only somebody from Scotland could do that. So, would you really? If they become their own country, they need to change that, because who wants a unicorn as their fucking national animal? That's like embarrassing.
That's interesting. Maybe they're thinking, "Oh, you come to the magical land of Scotland."
Yeah. That was a pretty good attempt at a Scottish accent, but
that was pretty awful.
And anyway, I don't want to get into the whole thing. Fox Company prepping on the subject is supposedly starting his live shows again at some point in the near future. So, I don't know what's up with that for sure, but he posted a few things, so hopefully he'll be back up doing his crazy show from Scotland. And I don't know if Scotland is going to leave the UK. I don't know if UK and Spain is going to go to war over Gibraltar, so I guess they want their rock back. It's been, there was like a treaty 300 years ago or something over the rock of Gibraltar, and I think Spain's still pissed. So.
Oh my gosh. I'm just thinking, it's that Latin blood, man. No.
They want their rock back.
I don't think Spain's pissed. I've been over there. Those people are mellow.
Well, but you know how it is with politicians. They have to have something to focus the people's attention on the fact that their currency is worthless and their banks are all going down the tubes, and the euro is falling apart.
If Spain's having economic problems, it's because they're neutral. But Gibraltar is one big military base. That's all it is, and it controls the entrance to the Mediterranean Sea.
Well, no, there's people that actually live there, and the people that live there voted to stay in the EU is the whole thing, and so whatever.
I just feel more comfortable with England having a military presence there than a neutral country.
Well, Spain isn't neutral; they're part of NATO. I mean, they were there.
They're part of NATO, but they're neutral.
They were there with they deployed to Afghanistan, didn't they?
No, they don't deploy.
They've got a military. They
have the capability to do it, but I'd have to look that up. I'm not. I have nothing against the Spaniards, but when I was over there, those people were mellow.
Yeah, well, they've been really strict with the people from Gibraltar as far as, where the fishing rights are. If they're fishing, anywhere around there, they, seize their boats or something. So it's getting a little crazy between Britain and the UK and Spain. So,
I went over the link that Rupan sent about the Colt bailout. It looks like it's just a loan. It's like a low-cost loan is what they're calling it. More or less, the article just points out the irony of how strict the gun laws are in Connecticut and how much they keep making them more and more strict, but yet Colt is going out of business. So yeah, that's just interesting.
We'll give you a loan to stay in business, but we won't let you sell any of your products here.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, so.
Well, like with anything else, they'll regulate it to death. Just, that's how they do.
Yeah.
I mean, even though they're giving them the loan, the regulations may still end up being, continuing to get so extreme that they just say forget it. But here the Colt's bringing in taxes for everything that they sell to other states and
and
so on. So
they probably gave them a loan because they don't want to have all those people laid off if they close the factory there.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I think people don't realize that Colt hasn't been making M16s and M4s for the government since the 1960s. It's not just Colt. Colt got the first order, but Colt is one of several. Bushmasters had it. Fabrique Nationales had it. So different companies get the contract. Once a government has the item, they have the patent. They have the right to the patent, and they can hand it off to any contractor at any point. Nobody has exclusive rights. So if somebody wants if they come up with, they want a new batch of spare parts, or they want a new batch of rifles, or new batch of carbines, or something like that, they'll put the spec out there, and they'll take the lowest bid. So if somebody underbid Colt, so I know it's happened in the past. So, I mean, people act like, well, Colt's having financial issues because they don't have a big government contract, and that's what they're used to. Colt's having financial issues because they're selling guns nobody wants.
Really?
Everybody's been saying they want a King Cobra, a Python, and are they making them?
Well, but those don't have as big of a profit margin, I would think, because they require a lot more man hours that than other guns. I would think more labor intensive to make those than other guns, and they have a lot of competition from 1911 knockoffs. From Canada, ATI.
That's why I'm saying if they made their revolvers have always been popular, and to buy a Colt King Cobra, okay, today a used one is $3,000. They could make it and sell it for $1,500, make a big profit, and you'd get a brand new gun for half the cost.
Well,
I'd buy an Anaconda.
An Anaconda.
That's their 44 Magnum. Big bore club.
Yeah, well, I've been wanting a 44 Magnum, but ever since they changed the gun laws in Hawaii, I've been spending my money on knives and gas masks or gold and silver. But all right. I want to thank our panelists for this week's show. Squib from Michigan and the United States Marine Corps, and Oily Prepper, the good, the bad, and the oily from or the good, the bad, and the Okie.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. Thanks again for showing up, everybody, and for listening to Lock and Load. And we will be back next week. And how does Edge always end this chat again? Fight the good fight. Keep your groups tight. See you next week.